It starts with
One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time all I know.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to week 4, our recap video. 4 weeks in already. Time flies when you're having fun and your team is winning, of course. Played a little intro there of Linkin Park. Unfortunately, not everybody's winning. Not everybody's Ian, who's 4-0. I know we have some teams that are struggling. And just like the song says, we're trying so hard, but in the end, it just doesn't matter. It can be a challenge sometimes, but the good part is the season's young. We got a long way to go. Those teams that are up on top right now definitely can shift and move around. We've got bye weeks that are coming into play here soon. There's just a lot of things that are left to be determined yet. So don't get discouraged. It's only through 4 weeks. Again, a lot of regular season left to go. But let's dive into where we're at. So before we get into the individual, well, I guess we'll talk about that at the end. As we can see on the screen, we know Ian's 4-0. I posted a screenshot this morning of like our top teams, our top 6, but we'll give some of that recognition towards the end. But for now, let's get into the breakdown. So we'll do my game last. So the first game or first matchup that I picked was between Jake and Will, and I said Jake was going to win, and he won. Boy, was it close. So, and I'm pretty sure I called it. It was going to be close. He had Montgomery sitting on his bench. Figured he didn't need all those extra points. I almost did, actually. It was pretty darn close on there. It wasn't a ton of scoring. I know we talked about it yesterday on there that, Jake's going to, end up winning this week with 101 points and Adam's going to lose with 140 points. And it's not fair. It definitely isn't, but it's all based on who you play against. And Jake scores 101. Most week that's going to lose, but he played Will, who didn't score 100 points. So Jake gets the win. I picked him to win. I'm 1-0 in that pick for the week. It moves, unfortunately, Will down to 1-3, Jake up to 3-1. The next matchup was between Josh and Adam. And again, this one was super close. I picked Adam to win this because I felt like he had the advantage in almost every aspect except for running back. But when you have McCaffrey and he scores you almost 50 points, that's a big chunk of the score. I mean, if you look at the rest of his team, he didn't have a ton of people that went crazy. I guess Nico Collins helped of having 35. So it was really dominated by 3 people on his team. But hey, that's all you need. If you can put up 144 points between almost 3 people, then hey, you take the win. And Josh will. So Josh moves to 3-1. Fortunately, Adam, who I picked to be in the playoffs, dropped to 1-3. But as you can see, he's scoring points. He's doing just fine. It's early. He'll be fine. But that was one I picked wrong. So that was between the two. I was 1-1. The next matchup then was between Jeremy and Dez, and I did pick Dez to win this, and he ended up winning by 20. I said, he had Kamara coming back. I said an advantage of defense and kicker. So let's see. So Kamara scored about 21 points, sure. Defense and kicker, yeah, actually, right there, 22-point difference in defense. That definitely helped. Between the matchup, quarterback matchup, which wasn't great. Geno Smith getting hurt. That sucked, which made Stafford have more points. Long story short, Dez ended up with more points, got the win. I picked that one right. Dez goes to 2-2, Jeremy to 1-3. I was 2-1 on my picks after that. The next one was between Ian and Sean, and Ian's probably going to be favored in every matchup. He scored 143 points on the week. He always scores, it seems, that high. I only showed that he had an advantage in quarterback, and he didn't even end up having the advantage of quarterback when it was all said and done. But it was just the rest of his teams. Diggs, scored 36 points. Brown, of course, Kirk, his defense just solid all around. So Ian gets the win, stays undefeated, drops Sean to 2-2, but that was another pick that I got right, as I did pick Ian, so I was 3-1 after that. Another one I got wrong though was Clint and Jay. Actually, no, sorry, I did pick I picked Clint and Jay won, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, look at those points by Jay. So I picked Clint to win. I picked him to be in the playoffs. He's going to need to start winning eventually. This wasn't his week. I felt like they really didn't have an advantage between quarterback, running back, wide receiver, any of that. I felt that was pretty much up in the air. And if you look again with how they scored, 121 points. That would have beat Jake. That would have beat Will this week. That would have beat some other teams. But he played a team that scored 151 points, and it was just really across the board. Both his running backs were solid for Jay, scoring a ton of points. McLaurin, defense, came in all aspects. So just Clint was up against the impossible this week. So I did say Clint was going to have the advantage in defense and kicker. Let's see. Nope. Yes, in kicker, but definitely not in defense. Defense gave him 0 points. He could have just not started anybody, would have got the same on there. But anyways, Clint gets the loss, drops to 1-3. Jay needed the win, moves him up to 2-2 and being in a better spot. I, of course, got that pick wrong, 3-2, and we were all joking, earlier today with Clint that when does his winning streak start? Because we said he's going to make the playoffs. It's still early. He can still do that. I said, give him one more week. He plays Ian, if I remember right, next week. I'm not going to favor him against Ian. Ian probably wins that for next week, and then Clinton rolls off like 6 wins in a row on a winning streak and gets back, as one of the top teams in the league. So, all right, and then the last one, always my own. I did pick myself to win between John here. It was ugly. It definitely was ugly. 116 points is not a ton to be the winner, but John only scored 95. I said John was going to have the advantage in quarterback. He did, which is just sad. Burrow's putting up 4.7, but Mahomes only had 15 points. I gave John the advantage in running back, but actually I ended up having the advantage in running back, and that's crazy with the 2 running backs that I have while I'm waiting for Barkley to heal and be able to play again. But I'll take it. It definitely helps not having to do a trade or sounding the alarms of needing a backup running back to sub into my team in here, that those 2 can hold the fort for right now. I said I was going to have the advantage of wide receiver. It wasn't so much with Ridley, but definitely A.J. Brown had a great game, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. Allen didn't even have a great game, but it was enough to win between the 2. I said I'd have the advantage at tight end, and only 9.6, but outscored Pitts. Overall, gave me the win and moves me to 3-1, and unfortunately John to 1-3. As we look at our standings, then Ian undefeated at number 1 in the league, 4-0, with the points for having just 569 points racked up, just unreal. Great job to Ian, who's just dominating this league. Strong number 2, Josh, on there, also at 3-1. With more points than the next 2 teams that are tied at 3-1. So great job, Josh, at being number 2 in the league. Myself at number 3, and then Jake at number 4. All 3 of us then being 3-1. And then we've got 3 teams that are 2-2. And of course, then your kicker is your points. So Dez 2-2, but has more points than Sean. Sean bringing up the rear at number 6, still in the playoff hunt as of right now. But again, a lot of weeks to go. Jay right behind him. Then Jay with a ton of points, and the win definitely was much needed. So, and then rounding out, we've got Adam, Clint, Will, Jeremy, and then John. But they're all 1-3. One more win moves into 2-3. You have one of the weeks that like Jay did, and you score 150 points. You're moved back up. That's all you need. So you just got to make sure you have a really good lineup. You need those points. Every point matters because right now when you've got 5 teams all tied at 1-3, then then the tiebreaker is who scored more points on the year so far. So definitely points do matter in this league. So, all right, well, congrats once again to those that won last week, and especially to Ian, who continues to dominate the league at 4-0. And then look for in a couple of days here our predictions video as we start looking at week 5. Talk to everyone later.
I put my trust in you, pushed as far show.